Hi, good morning, everyone. So I guess we can get started.
We have been in the business for more than 35 years now, and we have close to 1,000 plus customers with whom our engagement stands at being decades old. Our presence is span India with 8 locations across the country. And over the last financial year, we had reached $150 million revenue. Our heart of service is cloud transformation with deep expertise in data modernization, Azure-based security, application modernization, and more. And of course, speaking of transformation, we've done more than 500 successful on time, on budget project implementations in the last 3 years. And of course, all of this has been possible with our 700 plus strong workforce that's absolutely committed to customer success. So that's a very quick view into our journey. Our journey basically started in 1989, where we focused on software reselling. And then during 1996, 2000, we emerged as a software, as a Microsoft licensing partner. And we had one key business account by that time, that was Indian Army and Tata Steel. And our major growth journey started from 2000, where we added new services and solutions to our portfolios. We expanded our presence across new locations. So, from software reselling to being a frontrunner in the technology solutions and services industry, MB has now matured into being a trusted technology and solution partner that's enabling organizations to leverage a wide range of technologies towards their own transformation. It's a very quick view into our key customers. As you can see, they're coming from different sizes and stripes of the business, from different industry verticals. And that reminds me, so, as you all must have seen, we were quite keen on driving our webinars. So this is a series of webinars, and there would be more webinars coming along on Thursdays, alternate Thursdays. And when we launched this is the first in the series. And when we launched, it was primarily for BFSI and IT organizations. But the kind of support we saw when we were talking about the webinar, and so we were like, okay, great, let's have as many organizations, and we tried to sort of tailor the content and make it you know make it a little bit more inclusive. And but thank you so much once again for joining in today. So that means a lot to the team MB and Microsoft as well. So very quick view into the solutions. So of course, we have been serving more than 2,500 customers, but these are the quick buckets: cloud solutions powered by Azure, workplace modernization powered by Microsoft, and apps and data. We have our own applications, IPs, HRMS, and we're partners with SAP as well. System integration and 24/7 managed services. And here, MB is officially qualified Microsoft solution partner for security, infrastructure, data and AI, digital and app innovation, modern work enterprise. And our advanced specializations ranges across Windows Server migration to Azure, SQL Server migration to Azure, sorry, and Microsoft Azure virtual desktops, Kubernetes on Azure, Linux and open source database migration to Azure, adoption and change management, identity and access, and information protection and governance, and of course, the threat protection. So on this note, I would like to hand over to you, Sunil. Please take it over. And Sunil, I would like to give a quick introduction. Sunil is Director GTM for Azure from Microsoft. Welcome to the webinar, Sunil. Thank you so much for joining in. Over to you, please.
Hey, thanks, Shivani. Thank you so much. Just let me know if you can hear me, and do excuse me. I have a little challenge with my camera, so I'm not going to keep it on.
That's okay.
So, yeah. So,
we can hear you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So, Good morning, everyone. And the theme today, what MB has kept is migrate and optimize. And what I want to do is just give you an overview of what Microsoft's concept of what we talk about migrate and modernize your infrastructure and workload is. And optimization is one part of it. So what we do is we address the on-premises to cloud migration as a holistic concept, and that is aligned to the key outcomes of for the business leaders. We often hear organization leaders predominantly concerned with things like cost optimization, platform performance, resiliency, security, compliance, and to add to it, they also talk about gaining IT agility that can foster innovation. So once we have these discussions, once we understand what the outcomes are required, then we start getting deeper into that conversation with our customers. Now, we all saw that the global pandemic served as a catalyst for change and an accelerated shift in the technology landscape that has brought about a digital imperative for all organizations. At the same time, there is heightened expectations and scrutiny on transformation initiatives to deliver tangible values. So now, how do we respond to these imperatives, overcome challenges to the deliver on expectations? And all of this required at the same time. I can't do it here. So organizations and competitions are moving faster with increasing adoption of the cloud, but we know technical debt makes migration complex. The way we think about infrastructure investments has changed, but it can be difficult to know where to start to make this shift. The way our teams work and be productive has had a dramatic shift, but knowing how to scale and foster productivity remains a pervasive challenge. And certainly needs around cybersecurity have only intensified. But how do we manage that ongoing investment and resourcing, which has which can be very taxing and very challenging for the teams? Now, while we know that cloud first as a principle is being widely adopted, organizations that don't align businesses' objective to cloud strategy will likely fail to achieve the impact that leaders and stakeholders are seeking. Now, each cloud migration and modernization approach has different benefits and challenges. And these approaches don't need to be a binary decision. Like we work with many organizations that choose a mix of IaaS and PaaS strategies for different applications. But what is most critical is that your approach is in line with business expectations of cloud transformation. We need to remember organizations are not trying to get to the cloud. They're trying to get new and significant business value from operating in the cloud. While some may argue that IaaS is not transformational enough, to reiterate, transformation should be measured in organization results versus the technology used. And typically, Gartner analysts have said that more than 85% of organizations will embrace cloud first principle by 2025 and will not be able to fully execute on the digital strategies without the use of cloud native architectures. Now, as it pertains to infrastructure migration and modernization, we commonly hear four outcomes that orient around four key themes that we have. The optimization of technology, their investments, the need to leverage existing investment, reduce cost, and increase efficiency. In short, do more with less, right? And that's something that we keep on hearing. Ensure platform performance and business resilience for their most critical business applications, a given. The implementation of security and compliance is everywhere. So ensuring that you can stay up to date with rapid changes and challenges in their industry. And last and not least, bring agility to IT operations so that they can scale to changing market conditions and innovate for the future. Now, this is typically the themes that are there, which are there as part of it, and one of it is the optimization and optimization aspect of it after you move to the cloud. That is basically what you're talking about. Do more to things. Now, having said that, I would not want to take much time and thunder away from the team who's going to deliver you the session. So my humble request would be transfer with Azure, but when you're doing it with Azure, these are the typical things that you would see as part of the transformation journey. Migrate and modernize your existing business infra save the cost, do more with less. And this is what we are trying to say. Don't spend more. Whatever you have within that, you can do more than what is expected. And then scale to meet the business requirements. Okay, whatever is the scale, sometimes it is more, sometimes it is less. Be elastic, be agile to the business. And enhance performance and security resilience. It's a given. Security is a given. We can't move away from that. And future proof with innovation. So innovation is something that we do. We keep on coming with innovations. We do new things. There are a few things that are out there in the market. You heard about those announcements that Satya has been making. So we do innovate. We keep innovating this. So future proof it with the innovations. With that, I will hand it back to Shivani. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much. And before we move to the next segment, I'll quickly take 2 minutes to run through the offers that we have at the moment. And then Dwaminish can take over after that. Okay. Let me know.
Yes, yes. You can share the screen.
Okay, screen is visible, right? Okay. Bhavna, can you confirm, is the screen visible?
Yes, Shivani. Yes.
Thanks. Okay. Great. So, of course, as Tominish will be talking more about in depth, what exactly are the advantages, of course, of moving to Azure, and how you can power up your business with that. But I'll quickly take a minute and run you through what are the existing offers that you can avail. So, in another few minutes, we will be populating the chat with a feedback form. And on that form, you can actually, just opt in for these offers, and our team will connect with you shortly after the webinar, and we can get started on the offers that you want to get started on. So first is the cost optimization offers. So these are free assessments and workshops and free POCs. And in our previous engagements, we have seen we have helped our customers optimize their cloud spend by up to 40%. And the TCO calculations, that is something that our solution architect can help you out in that. Security, identity-driven security solutions to protect users and devices and data on cloud, at every touch point. So free trials and credits are available on Azure Cloud, and free POCs are also, of course, there. Feel free to reach us out. Seamlessly managed data. So data modernization and data management is something that you can leverage with this offer. So free data visualization workshops, which are based on Power BI, that are available. And our data experts can get in touch with you if you want, and we can help you visualize some data and make sure that you make most out of this investment if you want to go ahead with it. Develop and modernize applications. So give your applications a facelift for a future with microservices, serverless architecture, containerization, AI, and ML. And around this, we are providing free migration to Azure. If you are already on any other cloud, we can help you move to Azure, and a free SQL on Azure workshop, free database modernization workshop as well. You can see the email ID is connect@embee.co.in, and the phone number that's already there on the screen. And I'll just populate that on chat as well. And if there's any requirement, we'll be very, very happy to help. And over to you, Dominic, please get started.
Thank you, Shivani. Hello, guys. This is Twaminesh here, and I'm the solution architect from Embee, and I have been engaged with Embee for almost more than 2 years. Uh, just let me first populate the screen, and please let me know if you're able to see it.
Yes, Dominic, it's visible.
So is it the just I have turned into presentation mode? So I hope you can see this only the green section, right, and not the entire black,
Yep.
view. Which okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right. So as I was introducing myself, I'm a solution architect from MB, and my prime area is mostly into DC migration and modernization, and that is what I have been helping, with all my customers, to try to migrate and modernize, and in Azure, and also after that, how to properly architect their environments, right? As for my intro, I have been, I would say I'm born and brought up in cloud, okay? And my first job was like, to do solutions, and try to do implementations and all. So I have been in both sections, where I have been, working with senior colleagues, to do the solution, and also go ahead and after that, do the implementation. So I know on both the pieces how does it happen. So going forward, I have taken a pathway whereby I found making solution was, yeah, I like making solutions more. So I've taken a path that way, and this is where I am right now as a solution architect. Okay. So today, as Sunil has discussed, like, how Azure has been benefiting the customer. So I would like to help you understand, how what Azure is, and I'll just give you an overview of how you can, yeah, leverage Azure into your business, right? So talking about Azure now, what the message which I want to give it to you here is, nowadays it is not only about understanding, like, which technology our organization you would be using. Obviously, this has been going on for quite some time, but how Microsoft has, is communicating with all their customer. It is not like it is not only about, transactions right now, that we sell your product and do whatever you, and you can do, whichever you want to do, right? But it is more like, engaging and understanding their business, of what they want to do, how they want to grow as part of the organization, and how Azure can help in this area. So in that way we have been going. And the thing is that, based on that discussion, the discussion which we have, that, how an organization can do more, the entire Azure has been built in that way, right? Like, if you, like, as we know, the Azure is an IT's playground. Okay, if you go ahead and you want to do anything to everything, you'll find anything to everything there, right? It is like, it is not even confined into one location. So that is what they said is here right now. Here is an if we talk about Microsoft Azure, it is hyperscale, hybrid, and on demand, right? So being a playground, everything has to be present out there for you to play. So that is how the on demand, you know word is been given, right? And Microsoft Azure, since they're leveraging all the technologies, you will find Microsoft Azure to be fully hybrid and integrated along with the cloud. All right, if you have some of the work on premise, and if you want to host some of them in cloud, we you can integrate them based on the requirement. And hyperscale, obviously, that whenever and whatever you require at that moment of time, you can scale tremendously to an extent, like, whenever the server requirements of or the technology requirements are there, right? So that is what we have been trying to do, for all of our customers, right? We try to understand their pain point, as in what they would require, and how we can pinpoint those technologies to suffice those requirements. Right now, if you see on the second section here, now Microsoft Azure is being talking in this way. They are not confined to only their own product. They have also bought up any and everything out there which is there, and they have put down in their environment. So you can find both Windows and also third party products, right? And using those products, you can build many solutions based on the resources which you want. We have various solutions based on various requirements, which we'll be talking later on. We have same solution expressed in different way based on the requirement a person will need, right? So those sections I'll explain later on, but just giving a hint and idea here, right? And also we also check into compliance and security, how the customer would need, and we have also provisions around those areas. And obviously this is pay as you go, and just getting into Azure and having a look and feel on the it is It is like there is no upfront cost. Only and only when you start spinning up resources and use it for a certain amount of time, and only for those times you would be paying. Next, Azure is like as I was saying, since we are talking mostly on what the customer needs, right? And all these customers would be having their their own customers across the globe. And in order to get to the nearest location, we'd obviously have to have a setup nearest to those areas where the people are using, right? So we are spanned across the globe, and you can see there is 60 plus regions with 200 plus data centers which are there, right? And all of these data centers are these data centers are not hosted in silo. All of these data centers are connected through the dark fiber which is there, and they can communicate with each other based on whatever you need. It is whenever there is a requirement that you wanted to host websites across the globe, right? So those capability will be provided, and being these data centers connected, you can have unanimous communication going on between two resources. And also POPs are present. POPs mostly for your for your CD, and also for your MPLS line. So all those POPs are also present across the globe here. So it is not like this is the stop of creation of the data center. More data center will keep on coming, and and you can leverage those data center and host your applications nearest to those locations. Correct. And all of these data centers and all of this resources which are built, right? So this some customers are looking to set up strictly following the government standards, and some customers have their own policies, right? Now whenever we are talking about setting up in a cloud elsewhere, how do we make sure that that particular data center is as per the needs and as per the compliance need, or as per the security controls which is there or not. So our industry standards and certifications help us validating that. We have a site called Azure Trust Center, where you can go and check on the full list of certifications which Microsoft has done on various areas. You can see RBN, IRDI, and Indian MITI, is present as part of the compliance, right? So here I would also like to point out something, that the compliances are on different level, and all of these compliances are available for us, right? Uh, uh, for areas where we don't have control, like the physical servers which is being deployed elsewhere, right? For all those areas, we do have certifications available for us to see. And on top of those servers and storages, if we are building any solutions based on the particular requirement, so provisions are given, so that we can build the solution according to the compliance requirements, so that the compliance requirements are met, right? So that is how you can cover end to end of your infrastructure, and say this is, if this is fully compliant or not. So here is a list of compliances which are present, as you can see, of under global industry standard, and regional, and under US government also. And for the full list of certifications, you might want to go to Azure Trust Centers and check on those. Right. Please let me know if you have any questions, or we can move forward. Okay. Now, as we were talking about, mostly
Dominish,
on.
we have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
So Azizullah wants to ask, please cover the issues
yes.
arising from ransomware attacks, how this can help.
Can you repeat that? I could not understand.
So the question is, please cover the issues arising from ransomware attacks and
Mhm.
how this can help.
Okay. See, how the compliance, if I talk about industry standards and certifications, right? So, see, what does, this particular thing contain? Like, for example, if I talk about Indian meaty, okay, uh, this certifications, or, this is not like, the third party. person will come up and build something for you. What they do here is that, there are certain parameters and controls present in this particular, uh, in this particular, piece, whereby you can follow all this and try to make sure that your, infrastructure is secured in that way, right? For some customers, they want to meet a certain guideline, which says that, this is the way that, my infrastructure is secure. All right. Or if you don't find anything relevant for your infrastructure, and if you want to build accordingly to your organization, you can build those security parameters. So talking about the ransomware, how this will help here is that some of this areas, or the certification or compliance offerings which are there, you can leverage all the parameters and design the solutions in such a way. For example, I would say that, a piece of information can be written this way, that, your if you want to log in into Azure, you need to have an MFA enabled, right? So you can, so, in order to make sure that what you are following as per the security, you would have that list in front of you. Although you can follow on your own side, but having a third party compliance certification will give you a third person view to show you that, you are you are secured in this way, or you are compliant in this way. Right. So in terms of specifically on talking about the ransomware, so you can follow all this security parameters, like MFA should be enabled, then encryption should be enabled, and if you're taking a backup, for ransomwares, obviously a backup should also already be there, and somebody accessing the internet from inside the infrastructure, so those can be stopped in many ways through many solutions, like, clicking on unknown URLs. Those can be, checked using particular solutions which are available out there. So those solutions, when you set up, you are actually referring to this compliance offerings, and made sure that your infrastructure is secured. That way, you can leverage this particular piece.
Okay. Uh, we have another one, Manish. This is solution validated as per pharma guidelines, and how to safeguard our data. And in case of disaster, within how much time can the data be recovered?
Correct. How to safeguard your data? Obviously, see, talking about safeguarding your data, correct? Okay, there are, you can look into various ways. One is a pre-breach, one is a post-breach. Okay, in pre-breach, see, data saving is obviously, will bring all of the security parameters, right? Because it is not like, if a data is getting only corrupted, then only you can save your data, right? There are various ways which we do that. If your application is being launched, so there is an entry point for a hacker to go, right? So for first and the foremost thing which you need to see is that how a particular attacker can attack, or how a particular attacker can reach in your particular infrastructure, right? Obviously, an attacker can reach in a particular infrastructure through the internet, right? Because the attacker might not be sitting inside your organization. If the attacker is sitting inside the organization, obviously it doesn't need an internet, right? So one is, you need to check, publicly, if you're secured or not, through various secure solution, securing on the HTTPS level, securing if anybody is using FTP over the internet, right? So those areas you need to close down, right? And then on the layer 4, like, somebody trying to do an RDP or SSH, from an unknown IP segment, so you can make sure so to block all those RDP and SSH, correct? Then after that, while you're doing this, you have made secure in this way. Then after that, you can use particular incident management solutions, whereby who collects incidents, based on the incidents being performed, and you have all those tickets to check whether, a particular attack is happening, or it is just a general communication, right? So a monitoring solution has to be present to make sure that, your data is safeguarded. Then after that, post breach, you can install EDR, right? And after that, in order to make sure your data is safe, uh, you have to have redundant copies of data, obviously, right? One part is you have installed encryption and all, to make sure that, whoever is there, is fully encrypted and not stealing the data. On the OS level, you have installed, your EDR, which can also help in post breach attacks, correct? And after that, you have to have redundant copies of data, like performing a backup of that particular solution, so that if a particular data is although is getting corrupted, right, and you still have the data along with you. And the last and the most important point which is there is the awareness among the employees is not to click unknown URLs or keep passwords on their laptops. So that's the first and foremost thing, because how many you can employ n number of security solutions which are there, but there is always a 1% of of the employee who will keep crucial information over the desktop, and that is how it happens, right? The entry point most of the times happens through the laptop, and from the laptop they propagate. So you need to make sure, first and in the the only thing which is there is awareness among the employees not to click unknown URLs or something like that. And for the disaster recovery, see, it completely depends on how big your data is, because the only part which we focus, although a solution will contain an application server and a database server, right? But most of the time the application server doesn't change. What change keeps on changing is the database, right? So we need to see how the database is being updated, how fast our database is being updated, what is the churn rate of the database, and based on that only you can mention an RPO or an RTO. There would be no concrete answer on that, like what is the time minimum amount of time you can bring as low as possible, but there will not be a concrete time frame for you to give. I hope that answers the question. So I'll be moving on to the next slide here. So we were talking about, on an overall, on a holistic way, how Azure services look like, right? So you can leverage all these services. So these are some of the common services which are present. I have shown you on a very very brief manner. Obviously, there are not 5 or 6 services which are there. There is like in almost 100. It has crossed 100 cross, right? So you can find whole lot of workloads based on particular requirement here. So what you see right now here is just a holistic view, like on the infrastructure, the compute, networking, storage, security. But when you explore compute, there would be n number of services based on what you need. So that is what I'm trying to say here. In the Azure, or based on what the business needs, a particular solution is present in that way. If you want a cold hard metal virtual machine, right, you can just go ahead and deploy a virtual machine. Or else if you want to have it managed, with all the libraries should be managed, so you can go to specific solutions which are present out there, right? So these are the services which are there. And if I explore more into the IS part, all of this IS are across the region. So you'll find IS workloads across the region. And yeah, it is now we have both, as I was talking about, like open source. We do have Windows, as we do have Linux operating system available for you to use. And if you check, a lot more than Windows servers, Linux servers would be running in cloud, right? So that is the penetration which Azure has done. Azure is contributing a great lot in the open source community for us to use. And if you see some of the workloads which are there, uh, uh, if you see some of the workloads which are there, like open sources, if I talk about MySQL, PostgreSQL, and you are aware that these solutions are are open source, and there has to be somebody managing. So here in Azure, we have managed the solutions available for MySQL, PostgreSQL, and you can leverage those solutions for your for your particular requirement. And we'll be providing both support both on the infrastructure. If any bug is present, that would be managed by Microsoft directly. You only take care of your databases, right? So all of these solutions are present. You can come to Azure and have a look and feel of all these solutions, and after that start modernizing. Right now, I'll talk a little bit on the journey to the cloud, how you go ahead right? So generally, what do we do here? In order to move to Azure, is first of all we need to understand. Suppose if you are going to unknown territory, you first need to understand, right? And what we have done here in this particular area is we have labeled and designed and made sure that customer gets into the right track, right? For customers who are very much aware of everything, they can go ahead and leverage any of the solutions. But most of the customers, when they are coming to new to Azure, they wanted to understand Azure. This is a general piece which can be followed, right? First of all, from the on-premise, you do migration to IaaS, and after that you can go ahead and do further innovation. So that is why you can see that part of migrate and innovate is written out here, right? So you can you can come to the cloud and have that agility, efficiency, and resiliency uh, uh, for you, and you can leverage this for your organization. Now when we talk about uh, coming to the cloud, the first and the foremost thing is that you are seeing that the data center is being changed, right? So you would be looking on certain parameters which is much more better than the existing infrastructure, right? So that is what we are trying to show here. Whatever you're doing, we can help you in much more efficient way and also much more faster way in creating this infrastructure, right? So you can migrate onto the cloud and start leveraging on those areas. Of course, when we were talking about coming to the cloud and uh, trying to understand what particular solution you would like to use, right? As I said, the first thing is that you might want to migrate, and after that start innovating. Or if you are already aware, you can just go ahead and directly start innovation directly on the cloud. Correct. For any new or for any existing apps, or for any new apps, what Microsoft suggests is that for example, if you have an existing app, how would you like to go ahead and come to the cloud? Is you can directly uh, go ahead and set up in the IaaS environment, because that environment is similar to what you have in on-premises, right? Or else if you want to do a slight look and feel and start modernizing the solution and making it more managed, right? So in terms of modernization, what we see is that we know how we can betterly use an existing technology with minimum efforts being made, and and it should be fully integrated. That is what we can say a truly modernized solution is, right? So for any existing app, you might want to directly migrate, or if you may want to do certain changes and do a refactor, or you can completely change the entire application, and build it something new directly in the cloud, right? So these are the ways which you can think of, and those parameters will obviously decide based on the technology which you're using, the ability to change from one platform to another platform. Those decisions should be there. If you have minimum to minimum you know if you can change the application in a very smaller context, there were too much dependencies in changing the solution, then you might want to use migrate and the rehost. Or if you can change to a greater extent, you might want to choose the refactor and replace, right? Or if the solution is totally not able to go to the cloud due to the compliance requirements, at that point of time you can also use Azure Stack to have a look and feel of the cloud, as well as be there in the on-premise. Right? Or if for any new app, if the app can be built in Azure, you can go ahead and directly innovate the PaaS environments which are there, and you can directly leverage that and build your solution in a completely modernized way, right? So these are the ways and parameters which you can leverage to go ahead in the cloud, right? Few more examples which are there, like if you want to migrate and modernize, then you can use Windows and SQL Server in VMs running in Azure, or else or else you can use third-party Linux solutions which are there, or else you can if you want to further modernize, you can use the PaaS solutions, app services, or SQL database services which are there, right? And if for scaling and securing, you can go ahead and use the related security on the services. So you can integrate other security solutions which are then integrate and build up the entire infrastructure out there in Azure, right? And for optimizing, you can we have a whole lot of solutions which are out there, like Azure Monitor, or Service Health, which you can leverage for your particular requirement. Correct. Just let me know if you have any uh, particular question in there, or else if I can move out to a different section. Okay. So in perspective of moving to the cloud, obviously I was already talking about the services which are available, yeah, and if you want to move, what you want to check is in perspective of of a particular requirement which you would like to have in Azure, right? But how would you move? We have also paint down some of the points out there for you to use, right? So whenever you think of moving to Azure, uh, these are the three main points which you would like to keep in mind. And in these 3 points only, we have the entire migration journey set up. Correct. So first and foremost thing which you would like to do is that assess on the solutions which are there. The mainly the assessment of your current of the current infrastructure. Yeah, assessment of the current infrastructure mainly being understood in this way that what is the current size of the of a particular VM, and what is the disk performance which it is giving, how these VMs are communicating with each other, right? Once that assessment is done, when that assessment is understood, what we can do is that we can uh, pinpoint if you are running the solution in this way in the cloud, this would be the particular size. So assessment mainly gives you the report of your existing infrastructure in terms of the performance which it is providing, and if it is moving to cloud, what are the what are the configuration that you need to do in the cloud. So that is how it is designed. We have obviously numerous tools, third-party tools which are available, and from Azure also there is a tool called Azure Migrate, which you can leverage and perform an assessment of your existing solution. So once that assessment report is there, the next and the thing which we do is, which we discuss with you on how you want to move it to the cloud, right? And that completely depends on the application which you have. If you have, application which is too much dependent across the organization, across your infrastructure, and the technology which you are using probably cannot be changed, and the application is too much business critical. Okay, at that point of time, you might want to use rehost, or you can use simply rehost for any application which you want to leverage it, and you say that I want to modernize it later on, right? At that point of time also you can use rehost. So for those solutions, you have done a rehosting, which is like taking the exact configuration of the VM, you host the VM out there in the cloud, and after that you do an optimization there, right? Second is refactor, that you have done certain changes, like from the database side you are able to change it, you're able to change the query, or you might have taken integrated monitoring solution, or your database completely automated, right? You have done minimum changes to have a look and feel of modernization in your particular environment. Then you might want to use refactor. Re-architect is completely changing the entire architecture which you have. Suppose you have hosted your infrastructure in an in a single one-tier architecture, like in all the application and databases out there in a single VM. In re-architect, you might have changed from to a distributed architecture, whereby the app is hosted on an app service and a database is hosted on a database services, right? And rebuild is completely breaking the code and building it new out there in the cloud directly, using the microservices or the serverless platforms which are out there, right? So these are the ways which you can use to move into cloud, and that completely depends on how dependent the application, or how you can break the application, what are the requirements out there. That way you can you leverage to use, and after that, after coming to the cloud, you can do further optimization. Right, and this is the slightly more descriptive way which you can use. Like, if I read out the drivers, reduce capex, free up data center space, and quickly cloud ROI. Right, so here we can see that rehost is much more easier because you have to do minimum brainstorming, and you can just uh, use the same configuration and host it to the cloud. Whereas if you check on the right hand side, it will be probably slightly higher in terms of brainstorming, in terms of understanding before moving to cloud, because we have to do a whole lot of breaking and changing to adjust to the newer technologies. Right, but it has other factors like which can help us tremendously is in app scale and agility, easier adoption of new technologies, and also the first and the most important thing is that some resources which you are probably managing, those things would be completely managed. Right, and if you leverage the true serverless and microservices, instead of paying in a bulk, you can also pay per now you might be paying in Azure and maybe in per hour charges. At that point of time, you can pay per API calls also. So those capabilities can also be bought on if you want to truly modernize your solution. Right, so these are some of the tools which I was talking about. Right, that is Azure Migrate, Database Migration Assistant, and SQL Server Migration Assistant mostly does an assessment. And if you are migrating, you can use Azure Site Recovery to migrate the entire data center. You can use Database Migration Services to only to migrate your database, or else you can use Azure Databox to migrate. If you have more than 10 TB or 25 TB at that point of time, migrating data over the internet can be a task. So you can use Azure Databox here. So Azure Databox will have a physical database for your Databox in your inside your organization, and you can down feed all the data to this Databox and send the Databox to Azure, and you'll find in your account all the data which you have copied. And after that, for optimize, you have security and management also. And this entire piece which you see in terms of assess, migrate, and optimize, correct? You can also use cloud adoption framework here. Okay, so this is a kind of pathway which Microsoft has designed, which we can leverage straight from the plan inception stage, whereby you just have thought modernizing your application, and from that stage, what are the decisions that you need to make, and what are the consideration you need to take in terms of the designing, sales, and how you can further govern and manage this. So this is the entire thing which you would like to adopt for your organization for repeatable deployments. Right, here in this stage you see define strategy, plan, then we have ready and adopt, and after that we have govern and manage. Right, so you go through these phases and deploy this, and each time whenever a new requirement comes up, you can still go through these phases, and your application and your infrastructure will be completely intact. So talking about security, as we have already talked about security out here. So some of the solutions which you can see are Azure Firewall, Azure DDoS protection, batch and services which are there, and for application security is which it is also there. So here, if I mainly talk about security, so Microsoft follows a zero trust approach, whereby at every point of stage there would have to be an identification present, right? So if you talk about Microsoft, how they have planned the security is the first and the foremost thing is planning on the security and the identity layer. Then after that, that is one part whereby you will go and inside Azure. The other parallel, security which needs to be done, which is on same level of identity layer, is the network layer. Okay, at that layer also we have solutions which can provide us the security, and after that we have security around the application layer. Right, and after that post bridge you have all the solutions which are available. So these are the first and the foremost thing which needs to be done. Right, so whenever anybody entering Azure, they have to have an authentication available, and after authentication, authorization has to be provided, so that they can have only what they require. They don't have access to all the solutions. Right, and after that we have security around layer 4, which where Azure firewalls are all in-house products which are present. You can use Azure Firewall to secure or layer for, like, for example, if you want to do a NAT, NAT for your organization like DNAT, SNAT, you can leverage those things. Or if you want to provide RDP access via firewall, you can also do this through the Azure Firewall. And also it does IDS and IPS solutions. So those capabilities similar to a cloud next gen firewall is available out there, right? And the other piece which we have is on the application security. The application security can be done through application gateway, which has WAF enabled into that particular firewall. That is web application firewall. You can leverage this and introduce OS feature 5.0 for your applications, so that it helps you secure on those areas, right? It both has prevention and detection method which you can leverage. So if you want to directly prevent attacks, you can use the particular toggle button, and it will protect the solution that way. Correct. So that is one area, and other areas which are there inside the endpoints. We have I would say uh, EDR solution enabled, whereby you can leverage that and install EDR across all the endpoints, so that all the endpoints are properly monitored. And after that, we have for the data level, we have encryption at rest, whereby all the solution can be encrypted using Azure Key Vaults, right? Talking between multiple solutions inside the particular virtual networks are always private. And if there is a managed service solution which are available, it can also talk to each other privately without going to public. So those
So
capabilities are also
Samanish,
present. Yeah.
okay. So
Yes.
Samanish, there's a question. Sorry, I just don't want to miss out the context. I intervened. So Sunil wants to ask, is the firewall access available to customer security team for changes?
The firewall, I did not understand. Just give me a moment.
Uh, so Sunil is asking, can they as a user can make changes to the firewall access? Is that possible?
Firewall access available for customer security team. Firewall, see, firewall would be present, but what kind of access are you talking about here? That needs to be known. Is the firewall access available to customer security team for changes? Okay. If you're asking, like, suppose if you have used a firewall, created a firewall, and if a security team wants to manage that firewall, can that access be provided or not? So see, yes, in order to provide an access to Azure firewall, uh, it has to, you have to go to the portal. Okay. So if that particular user, if the particular security team would like to have an access, so you might want to invite them, their user as a guest in your particular Azure, and add them with appropriate rights for the firewall access to be there. So that way we do. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, yeah, please proceed.
Yes. So apart from that, as I already talked about, like, the application security, we have, in order to connect to your organization, we have Express Route and VWAN available. And so those connectivity will be available to you if you want to access the entire Azure privately. Okay. And apart from that, we have monitoring solutions, like, SIEM solution such as Azure Sentinel, which does both security incident and event management and security orchestrated and automated response also for your entire infrastructure, so that if any brute force attack is happening, you will be alerted and you can take appropriate actions. Okay. I'll just go to governance. So I would specifically wanted to talk about governance here, because after moving to cloud, how would you completely manage your entire infrastructure is through, if you have your own structure available, you can obviously leverage those and imbue this. But these are some of the solutions which are there which can help you structure your entire infrastructure. So here we have management groups, we have policies, we have blueprints, resource group, and cost management, right? Through management groups, you can structure your entire infrastructure in such a way so that it is available across departments and only appropriate users are provided access. Policies like you can leverage Azure policy to create policies for your entire infrastructure and enforce them, and so that appropriate users will use this according to what access has been provided. Blueprint is like multiple policies which you create, and if you want those policies to be executed in a certain way, then blueprint is available. Is blueprint is mostly a higher version of the policies whereby you can orchestrate your entire infrastructure using blueprints, right? And resource graph is if you want to quickly query a particular resource, you can use resource graph at your particular Azure environment. And cost management is just to check if you are within budget or not. So in the cost management, you can set up alerts, you can set up budgets, you can also have those view on a dashboard to check if you are using within, if you're using the resources within the budget. Right, so these are some of the solutions which are available. Obviously you can structure according to the operations that you have and you have imbued for your organization. You can bring this to the cloud also, but some solutions which are there which can help you in doing this particular governance. And the other thing which we have, the last thing which we probably have is on the benefits of which Microsoft gives, apart from doing an overall optimization. We have further benefits like Azure hybrid benefit, which if you have existing Windows Server and SQL Server with SA, you can bring that to the cloud, and you can reduce the license cost down there in Azure, right? So that you would have a tremendous reduction of price out there, right? And for suppose, for example, if you uh, are not using any instances, if you're using any instances 24/7, right? We what Microsoft says that if these instances would be running 24/7 for a year, we can reduce the instance cost to a certain amount of extent based on the size available. So here you can go to an extent of of optimizing your cost up to 80% if you combine Azure reservation and as well as Azure hybrid benefit, right? So that much capability Microsoft Azure gives in terms of optimizing for your infrastructure. Other than that, what we have is the dev test pricing. If you are doing a development and testing for your organization, and what Microsoft says for development testing, there will be no Windows and SQL Server charges, right? So we also have the capability of reducing the license cost out there in the dev test pricing also. And also, if you have existing licenses, right? Suppose for example 2012 and 2012 are out of date right now, but we are in Azure, we are providing extended security updates, whereby you can still run your 2012 and 2012 R2. Right, so these capabilities are out there in cloud in terms of lowering your cost, and also you can do it optimization to a tremendous amount of extent. So that's it from my side. I wanted to keep it short and crisp for this particular piece. Right. If you want to start learning, right? So we have on your own, we have our own learning path available in the cloud. You can go to learn.microsoft.com and you can choose a particular stream out there, and you can this is a short stories, and you can go ahead and start and clicking and keep on answering the question. You can also uh, do there and get the badges, and after that you can appear for the certifications also. So although we are also already there, but if you want to still learn, you can follow this path, of learning. You can go to azure.com/essentials to check on those various offers available. Right. So that's it from my side. I hope the the webinar was understandable what I had to convey as part of the message. Just check if you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay, so we do have questions, but just in the interest of time, Twaminish, I've requested that we will be getting in touch with the attendees post this webinar. And we can always arrange one-on-ones with our solution architects. We can do that. So perfect. Thank you so much, Twaminish, for this wonderful piece of session. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. And stay tuned. There's a series of upcoming series of webinar coming soon. We would love to host you again. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day ahead.